Hail, Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here today talking about Season 2, Episode 8 of the Apple TV sci-fi series Severance. The episode entitled Sweet Vitriol.
How sweet it is.
Sweet vitriol, a phrase used to describe ether, which is obviously relevant to this episode. Also has that connotation of bittersweet, which is relevant to Harmony coming back to her hometown, which holds a lot of pain for her, obviously.
More bitter than sweet, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree. Kind of just vitriol maybe, but yeah, okay. You gotta look for it, but there's okay. We open with Harmony completing the drive to Salt's Neck this time. Remember, she turned back earlier in the season.
I do remember.
Last time we saw her, she was driving quickly away from Lumen after refusing Helena's invitation to meet with the board. She arrives in Salt's Neck. She walks into the Drippy Pot Cafe and asks the owner/local ether dealer, Hampton, to drive her to her mother's old house where her Aunt Sissy still resides. She needs Hampton to drive because she fears, as it turns out rightfully so, that Lumen might be on the lookout for her car. We end with the revelation that Harmony invented Severance and the overtime contingency, the Glasgow block.
All of it.
All of it. Exactly. She finds and retrieves her old notebook containing the Severance concepts and leaves Salt's Neck. In the car, she finally answers Devon's latest call. Devon tells her about Mark's reintegration, and Harmony asks him to tell her everything.
Everything.
All that said, Paul.
Yes.
What'd you think of Episode 8?
It was good. I enjoyed it. I mean, it's interesting that Dave and Lindelof thought they needed to show her, and they did. It was just an episode after he thought it was going to occur.
Yep.
I don't know how I feel yet about the fact that she invented it. I guess somebody had to invent it.
Yeah.
So, the fact that she's the inventor all along, I guess, it's not crazy. I expect that there will still be moments where we'll doubt if she's really turned fully against Lumen.
Sure.
Even though with everything that's happened, it doesn't seem like she has a clear path back to power.
Right. Yeah, if you were just look at it on paper at this moment, it seems like she has potentially successfully flipped, and she will be on Team Mark in an attempt to, discredit Lumen in somehow. But she was such a devotee for so long that it's kind of hard to go like, oh, in a week you just went, no, never mind. So yeah, agreed. We'll have to watch that play out.
Yeah, but I thought that it was well paced, and the emotional moments were well expressed. Of course, Jane Alexander did a great job, and I
remember her from a Law and Order episode.
Interesting.
She was a wealthy matriarch that outwitted Jack McCoy. But anyway,
I recall her from The Great White Hope. Great James Earl Jones.
Yep.
And James LaGrosse did well. I've seen him and stuff, but I don't know if I could,
Oh yeah, right. I've seen
but he did a fine job. Yeah, it was. Even though I feel like they probably could have left stuff out, it was still good.
Yeah, it's interesting. This episode has actually been getting pretty mixed reactions online. It has one of the lowest, if not the lowest, IMDb score for the series.
Interesting.
I generally like the episode, I think like yourself, but I think the pushback it's getting is probably from the frustration that this is the second episode in a row to put the current activities of our protagonists on hold, while they fill in backstory. Backstory is interesting, but I suppose if I was in the writer's room, I probably would have voiced a concern about putting a Gemma episode back-to-back with a Harmony episode just for the momentum of the show. Hey, we got to this point, they got to the thing, and then it was like, look, let's take a step back, and then we'll take another step back. Now we'll get back. I assume episodes 9 and 10 will be like, and we're back in the current action. But it's a little bit of a bold idea to be like, we're going to do 2 episodes in a row, disconnected from each other, that are both character-centric, let's see the backstory of how we got here with Gemma and how we got here with Harmony. Anyway, it works, but maybe in its proximity to the Gemma episode, I think maybe there's a frustration coming from that. That's
I don't know. I mean, I may end up, revisiting this question with you once the season is over. Like, where would you have put it?
Right.
You know?
Good point. Did
you put it after she left Helene, and just then you could, have her have the scene, I guess, with her, or you would end it, I guess, before she gets in the car, I guess, and then just have that scene when Mark wakes up and then have her call her and answer it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's, because I guess the motivation for her, obviously, is to come back and get proof that she created Severance. And so I'm wondering what it was about her conversation with Helena. I know Helena at one point says, like, I think you're overestimating your contributions.
Yes.
So maybe it's in a response to that specific, like, oh, yeah? Well, your dad ripped me off. I think is kind of what, it's coming with. But, so I don't know. It's just, I'm not sure. You're right. Where would you put this? It is a Harmony episode. We get a lot of atmosphere. This town is, it's dying. If it's not already dead, it's a ghost town, essentially.
It's like, I don't think we knew that it's like we'd seen Miss Wong, and I don't think we assumed that there was child labor going on.
Yeah, but there is.
But apparently, it's like it's. I guess the innies were all sort of tweaking on it, right? Mark, the other Mark S. He said, "Why are you a child?" And and Dylan were all like, "What's this with the children stuff?"
Yep. Yeah, they didn't. I get what you're saying. Company wide, they didn't know. Like, that's
but
a thing.
They're innies, so we don't know how it would be viewed outside.
You think like Audi Mark might be like, oh yeah, child labor, that's a thing? Like,
I don't know.
This world,
I don't know.
Don't
it
think
might
so.
be. It might. I think you're right, but it might be sort of like, that it went on. Maybe child labor went on longer in this world than it did in ours, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like the technology they have is cell phones that look like ours, and while Cobell. Miss Cosell, while she is, in her 50s or whatever, she really should not have had any child labor. So maybe it was...
you get the feeling maybe this was one of those things, like... Again, you're right. It would have been earlier in time, but back in the day when they would have these like company towns, like a company coal mining town or something like that, where it's just like, the company has the company store, the company, everything you get, they give you a wage, but you spend it all in their stores. So it's like they
but
just
this is
get it
a
right
world
back.
Where ether figures more prominently than it does in ours.
Yeah.
So maybe that's just yet another aspect of their history that we're not aware of.
But it was Lumen using child labor in this town. And maybe it was just like, it's so far removed that they were basically away. Like, authorities didn't bother them. I don't, but yeah.
But one thing that was mentioned for Harmony that is also mentioned for Ms. Wong is
the Wintertide Fellowship.
Right, exactly.
Yep. So that was the thing back then as well. It's a tradition.
Right. Maybe it's it doesn't have as much paycheck aspect of it or not. Who knows? Maybe it's just sort of like an internship where she spends some time at Lumen and then goes back to her classes. Who knows?
Yeah. No, you're right though. But it shows that tradition of that particular. Miss Wong is just a product of a long line of kids, apparently, child labor. And it's weird, she's got child labor, white collar child labor. As opposed to stirring a vat of ether for 10 hours a day. I'll say this, this place, Salt's Neck, is kind of the textbook definition of the phrase cold harbor. It's an icy port
Oh,
town.
sure.
Anyway, I don't know. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but it's just interesting how right before we probably find out what Cold Harbor is, we go to an icy port town.
Sure, yeah.
So one question I had that I got answered. It involved the scene in which Harmony, uses her mom's breathing tube as a pacifier, essentially.
Yes.
I was confused about the nature of that tube. Like, was it a respirator? Which is what I thought it was. Or, because we had so much about these ether addicts and everything, was her mom using it to huff ether? So, found the answer in a Variety interview with Patricia Arquette. So she says, I knew that Harmony, she's talking about like the background to her character. I knew that Harmony had gone to a school and she had worked at this ether factory and that her mom was an ether addict. Then the interviewer asks her about the scene where Harmony lies on her mother's bed and holds her mother's ether mask up to her face. So it wasn't a life-saving, this was her addiction. It was like, I can lay on my bed and huff ether.
I noticed that when she was in the bed with it, when Harmony was in the bed with it on her face, they did show a sort of shot of this little like disc of what looked like ether.
Yep, they did. Also, Aunt Sissy, says about Harmony's mother, if only she'd been a believer, perhaps she would have found solace in the nine. The nine being the 9 core principles. So what that tells me is
9 humors, I think.
The mom wasn't a devout cultist. The mom was like probably a worker in the factory. Sissy is your devout cultist. It suggests... Okay, well, here, I'll just say this. Try to sum up what I've learned. Here's the backstory I think we learned from this episode. Okay, Salt's Neck, factory town run by Lumen.
Yes.
They employed child labor stirring vats of ether. It sounds funny to say. It's like, oh, my God. And they doped up the kids to keep them working their 10-hour shifts.
Sure.
Harmony says, the last time I did this, I was 8 years old. You're like, You're not talking like teenagers even. You're talking 8-year-olds. Okay. Harmony's mom apparently worked at the factory. Exactly. More ether, please. So her mom worked in the factory, apparently, and then, like the rest of the town's workers, became an ether addict, likely died from the accompanying health problems you get with being an ether addict. Harmony's Aunt Sissy, devoutly religious, apparently didn't partake in ether use. She's very against it. But she administered it to the child laborers because we see a plaque in her room that says she gets like an award, the quarterly striving or something, and her title is Youth Apprentice Matron. So she is, and in fact, when she's complaining about Hampton being a drug dealer, Harmony says, you gave him his thirst for it.
Yes.
So in other words, when he was a kid, Youth Matron was like, here, take this ether, it'll help you get through your day. So she was, even though she was like way against it, she was giving kids ether to keep them working in the factory.
Interesting.
It's like, woo!
And the shameful part is selling it. So
right.
If he was just sent to ether, then they'd probably be fine.
They were probably free. Around age 12 or so, Harmony's sent to an Egan-run girls' boarding school. I get the idea, and so she wasn't present when her mother died.
Right.
And we get. I'll take Sissy's word for it. At the end there, it seems like her mother took her own life, removing the breathing tube, because she was, I guess, tired of living at that point, basically.
Sure, why not?
And so Harmony was raised by her aunt, and that's why Harmony gets uber devout, probably because she grew up the rest of the time living with her aunt. She then becomes valedictorian.
I imagine she probably was.
You're right. She was indoctrinated
because
earlier, Okay, all right, good point. But then she becomes valedictorian of her high school. We see that in her yearbook.
Sure.
And she received this Wintertide Fellowship, compliments of James Egan. We see the picture of her with Helena's dad.
Right.
I think it seems pretty clear that she shared her notes on Severance with James.
Sure.
Who then stole them for Lumen.
Right.
Then I guess he gave her a job, as Sissy's like, you can't take credit for this work because if you did, everything's for Keir. So that's probably the way it was spun to her. Like, this is for Keir, but you could have a job here. You could be middle management for us.
Right,
but enjoy your, thank you, but no, we're not going to credit you in any way.
Sure.
And so then Lumen moved away from the factory, and it left this ghost town of addicts with severe health problems. That's what I think we got out of this episode.
Sure.
I don't know if
that makes sense.
So again, Lumen, terrible company is what we're.
Yeah. The shocking revelation.
Somehow she did figure out how to do Severance. I'm like, when you were 8 stirring vats of ether, you were like, I wonder if we had put a chip in the brain. Anyway, but she figured it out. So somewhere she got some schooling.
Yeah.
So we also know the lore, at least around Lumen, is that Keir met his wife in an ether factory.
Right. Yes.
So this could be like the Keir place of origin for the whatever. Maybe maybe Salt's Neck is where Keir, if it's true, he was stirring ether and met his wife. I don't know. I feel like the Egans were already kind of in charge at that point. I'm not sure how that tracks with Salt's Neck, but that's a thing. We also get the fact that Harmony was worried that Lumen was tracking her. In fact, Drummond had called Sissy to see if Harmony had been there, or was, hey, you can tell her if she apologizes, she can come back. And then we get this headlights coming to the house at the end of the episode, which suggests that Sissy found a way to call Drummond, is what I'm guessing. I don't know, even though his phone got pulled out.
Or maybe they just heard that she was in town from other people, or when they could tell when the
car was there, maybe hanging out in front of the bar.
That's why she. Maybe she was right that they were being watched. She did say that the house might be watched. So maybe when the car was out there for so long, they figured it out.
And then Hampton gives her his truck, and then he's like, at the end, he's waiting for Lumen, and his quote is, it sounds like an action hero moment. He's come tame these tempers, assholes. Yeah. You're like, okay. Yeah. Like he's almost like a death cry, like he's gonna get wiped out or something. So I don't know. We'll probably never know how that ends. But anyway, he's there to hold them off while Harmony escapes. Interesting stuff there for sure.
Yeah, sure.
When Devin originally was gonna call Harmony, which seemed like a bad idea to me at the time, I explained it in my head as, well, Mark's dying, so she's desperate, and so she's just going to call the person who she feels maybe knows something about this. But she calls, Harmony doesn't answer. A couple of days go by, finally Harmony answers. So she's been calling and calling, but Mark is awake. Mark even talks to Harmony on the phone. She's like, put Mark on. Hello?
Yes.
So he's not in that kind of danger at that moment anymore. I don't know. I feel like it's a little weird for Devin to trust Harmony at all if Mark's life isn't on the line, because Harmony tried to steal her kid, right? Didn't try to kidnap her. Like, pretend to be a babysitter when I really...
Well, her plan still needs Harmony that she had even before he was that sick. She's like, maybe there's this other plan. Maybe, so that's when she goes over to his house to
try
say...
something new.
Right, and so that was what she thought of. So she was willing to do that even before he got sick. So the fact that now he's better. Part. Yeah. She said when she went over there, she's like, I had another idea.
Okay.
And this is it. Right. This is her other idea. And so that's why she mentions it when Ragabi is around, the idea that she had, which is going to that birthing station. So even though Ragabi says, don't do it, don't do it, she leaves. And really, she was probably thinking, like, she already called her, or she's letting it ring or whatever. Forget it. That's it. I got to get out of here. She bails
pretty quick. Yeah.
You should not talk to her, but I'm leaving because you already made your decision.
Okay. Yeah.
Even though it seems like, wait, she hasn't done it yet.
Right. But, I know. We talked about that at the time. Like, okay, give her a chance.
But maybe just the dialing. She's like, oh, no, that's it. You dialed and...
So maybe it happens to be also because I don't think Devin would know that, maybe she would, somehow does, but I don't think she would know that Harmony had this break with Lumen and but it happens to be a very fortuitous time to call.
Well, she does know that she's not in charge of the floor anymore.
That's true. So that she's been demoted at the very least.
Yeah, so presumably it was Seth Milchick who told them that she's not. Yeah, I remember now. She did. It's like she's not with the company anymore.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, cool. So then, yeah. So obviously, I think we're headed toward assuming Harmony is at least. There's probably something she's willing to do and something she's not willing to do. She's willing to take down maybe the Egans because she feels vengeful in some way, perhaps. But she's not willing to take down like Severance, maybe. I don't know.
Interesting.
Because that's her thing. I don't. Anyway, I don't know. I don't know what the. How we'll see that go, but yeah, at least in the beginning, I feel like she's going to be assisting in Mark reintegrating successfully and getting Gemma back. I'll say this from our comment section is pretty much universally agreed, and I think I'm on board that the Gemma rescue plan will not work. Ultimately, it'll seem like it's working, but at some point, it's not going to work out. So that's their thoughts.
Yeah, interesting. All right, that's they go down a limb there.
Yep.
You're gonna put some bad candy on it.
Bad candy. Okay, you know what? We haven't done the bad candy thing in a while. Okay. If Gemma is successfully rescued and it's not like a cliffhanger. Like we have to know that she got rescued and she's out of Lumen safely.
Yeah.
Meaning, I and the rest of this community was wrong. What's a candy that I hate that I know some of the candies I hate. Do you want me to pick one or do you want to pick one for me?
I don't know any of them except the one that you had to eat last time. Oh, well, I shouldn't say that. I can't even remember which one that was.
That was salt licorice.
It was
just terrible. And it was hard to get because no one sells it because it's so damn bad. I had to special order it. So maybe something I could pick up in a store.
Faraway community.
I think it was Salt's Nick where they sell salt licorice and ether. It was combined. No.
Yeah, so that would be appropriate then for more Salt Nick.
A more accessible. That's true. It would be a more accessible, terrible candy that I could get at CVS. Circus peanuts. They are just awful, and I hate them with a passion.
What?
But I will.
Do you like regular peanuts?
Oh yeah, I love peanuts. Circus peanuts have nothing to do with peanuts. That's part of the.
I should look up that up.
Yeah,
I'm not
they are.
With
they
the
are a
variety of peanuts. Are they made of clowns or something?
No, they are shaped like a giant peanut. That's where it ends because they're artificial banana flavored.
Oh,
and they have the texture of like packing material. It's like you're eating styrofoam banana shaped like a peanut. It doesn't make any sense, and it's terrible. And I will indulge in eating at least an entire circus peanut if we are wrong and
just
Gemma survives.
Okay.
I mean, how many do I eat? You tell me. I'm not gonna eat a whole bag. No way. But you tell me. Give me a number.
I'm looking at it online, and I see a whole box. Like it says bulk, so it's like
no. Just I'll get a bag, and I will eat. Apparently one is too little amount.
No, that's fine. I'm not gonna.
Is that one? Okay.
I'm not a sadist.
Okay. All right. I will eat a circus peanut during our final recap if Gemma has successfly been rescued.
How
about
that? All right. Okay.
Okay. All right. That is my swear.
All right. Interesting.
I swear on the candy oath.
Yeah, because you didn't do a candy wager on Foggy's death, so it's
exactly.
You can see how you could have been like, yay, free!
Yay! One fun little I don't say Easter egg. It was a fun little homage in this episode. Multiple times,
yes,
they played the instrumental version of the song that we heard Harmony sing about, like that little prayer, Kyrie, glorious Kyrie, or whatever it was. Like that song is playing multiple times throughout while she's visiting. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
So well done for them on that.
Well appropriate.
All right. Well, we'll be back talking about episode 9. We're also talking about Daredevil. We'll be talking about episode 3 of that. So come on back for all of those things. Thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir.
No problem.
And we'll talk to everybody next time.
Bye.
Bye.